when the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers. Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.
Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World. I'm Thep Chaiyong.
And I'm Nad Bunag.
And for the past few weeks, we have been starting our news program by saying that today is another day without locally transmitted coronavirus infection. And tonight, we are going to do just that again. And hopefully, we can continue to do this for a much long while.
And forever as well.
All right. But of course, it doesn't mean that we can let our guard down. Yeah.
Exactly, because today Thailand sees one new case of COVID-19 who came back from Bahrain and is now under state quarantine. At the same time, like Kuntepchai said earlier, it has been 39 days where no local transmissions were reported. The CCSA spokesman, Dr. Thawisin Wisnuyotin, said the new patient, who's a 24-year-old woman, arrived from Bahrain on June 28th and entered state quarantine in the eastern province of Chonburi. So far, 3 people were infected with the coronavirus out of all 827 returnees from Bahrain. Currently, the total infections in Thailand are now 3,180 cases with 3,066 recoveries and 58 deaths. As the COVID-19 situation in Thailand is improving and the country entered the fifth phase of restriction easing on 1st of July, Dr. Thawisin said his news briefings will be reduced to just Monday and Thursday starting from next week. So only 2 days left to see Dr. Thawisin on TV.
All right. So another piece of good news for tourists and medical industry in Thailand, because starting this week, Thailand will begin to welcome foreign visitors who are here for medical and wellness tourism as part of the government's plan to ease the lockdown and to revitalize the tourism sector. They also include those who will be here for beauty treatment. And according to Dr. Thawisin, these visitors must have proof of medical appointments and also the so-called certificate of entry from Thai embassies to certify that they are free of the coronavirus. They will be subject to the mandatory 14-day quarantine at hospitals under contract. And after they are discharged, they will be required to leave the country immediately.
However, the program applies to visitors who travel by air. That means the country's land borders will not be open yet to visitors. He quoted a report from the Public Health Ministry as showing that there are as many as 1,700 people who have registered to join the medical and wellness tourism program. They include those from Myanmar, China, Cambodia, and other countries in the Middle East such as Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. Dr. Thawisin said if the program proves successful, the government will move to the second phase, which will allow those joining the medical and wellness tourism program to visit tourist destinations in the country after they are discharged from hospitals and proven to be free of COVID-19. He also said the travel bubble will follow in the third phase starting in September. However, he emphasized that it would not mean a free-for-all travel for foreign visitors, even under the travel bubble arrangement. The categories of visitors, he said, will still be limited to ensure that authorities will have control over the movements of the visitors.
Nakunat, in this age and time, as we are talking about new normal, talking about a new world because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to know that in Thailand, the questions of hairstyles and haircuts with which students can go to school with is still a major topic of debate. As we all know, our schools in Thailand have reopened as part of the easing of the lockdown. But what seems to be worrying many students is certainly not the coronavirus pandemic, but it's the hairstyles they can wear to school. For many of them, their first day at school this week turned out to be a nightmare. What you see on the screen right now, these are students who said they had their hair hacked or shaven off by teachers who claim they flouted regulations governing student hairstyles. These pictures were taken from Facebook pages of students who said they were penalized for wearing wrong types of hairstyles to classes. Hacking or shaving off hair has been a common practice at many schools to punish, or in other words, to shame students who violate their hair regulations. But this time, the students are not taking the treatment sitting down. They launched an online campaign to publicize the plights they are facing. And today, they also went to the Education Ministry to register their complaint, arguing that the practice of shaving off students' hair as a punishment is an infringement of their basic rights, and they want to see a clear-cut interpretation of the rules governing student hairstyles.
And what kind of hairstyles students can wear to schools has been a topic of debate for years and years and years. The conservative view holds that students' hairstyles should be strictly governed to comply with the school rules and to prevent students from indulging in their appearance. Critics, however, want to do away with hairstyle rules, which they insist infringe upon individual rights and have nothing to do with the education. In what was seen as a victory for students, the Education Ministry earlier this year issued a new directive relaxing the rules on student hairstyles. To keep it short, both male and female students may wear their hair long or short. For male students, the length on the sides and the back must not extend beyond the back of their neck, while the front and center must be appropriate and neat. As for female students, if you have long hair, you must tie your hair up. But the problem is, the new directive has been interpreted differently by different school administrations. Thus, a new round of disputes between students and teachers as soon as the schools reopened.
However, the good news for the students is that the Permanent Secretary of the Education Ministry, Kun Prasert Bunreung, today came out to meet the protesting students and promised that all schools will be required to rewrite the hairstyle rules to conform with the ministry's new directive. So students can expect to see a new normal for their hairstyles very soon, Gwinnett.
Hopefully. Have you ever had your hair hacked or shaved off at school before?
Of course, I did on many occasions many years back. And certainly it was a real torture for students that to suffer that kind of treatment at the hands of their teachers.
Exactly. It's like some sort of embarrassment to shame the students for expressing themselves through their hairstyle, because let's say if we have our hair long and then all of a sudden our teachers cut our hair short in front of everyone. It's like, I understand how these students feel when the teachers do that in front of everyone, the whole school, shaming for their hairstyle.
There has been a lot of debate on this issue for many years. And of course, students want the Education Ministry to be very clear-cut as to what kind of hairstyle they can have. Because as you said in your report, that different schools interpret the rules differently. Some say, well, okay, long hair, no problem. But some schools say, no, you have to have it hacked before you can go into your class.
So it's like if you have this length of hair, for like some schools it has to be like right here, like at the ears. So particularly with Thai schools, but not really for international schools or schools that are more developed, I would say. So I understand how they feel here.
All right. So let's go to the international scenes. The world is still keeping a very close watch on Hong Kong after the introduction of the draconian national security law, which has triggered a new round of confrontation between China and the West. At least 3 Western countries have made clear that they will not stand idle in the face of what they see as the beginning of an end to the so-called one country, two system in Hong Kong. And yesterday, the US Congress approved a bill penalizing banks doing businesses with Chinese officials in what is clearly an open challenge to China over the new security law. The bill would impose sanctions on entities that help violate Hong Kong's autonomy and financial institutions that do business with China. The bill passed the Senate by a unanimous consent on Thursday, a day after the House of Representatives also passed it without opposition. Of course, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman has warned the U.S. against signing or implementing the bill and threatened to resolutely and forcefully resist the bill. And previously, China had already announced visa restriction against U.S. individuals who it said have behaved egregiously on matters concerning Hong Kong. The U.S. has also ended Hong Kong's special status under U.S. law, halting defense exports and restricting the territory's access to high technology products.
And besides the US, the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, said they will be offering Hong Kong residents a chance to resettle and apply for citizenship. Under this offer, Hong Kong citizens who are eligible will be able to live in the UK for 5 years. That includes the right to work and to study. From there, they can apply for a settled status, and after another year, they will be able to apply for citizenship. Those who are eligible are Hong Kong citizens with British National Overseas Passports, or in short is the B&O passports. Currently, there are 350 people who have these B&O passports and another 2.6 million people who are eligible to apply for the B&Os as well. Unfortunately, those who are born after 1997, which was the end of the British rule, will not be eligible for this. So that means the young protesters who are born after this year will be at risk. This is one of the most direct responses to the new security law on Hong Kong, which has been highly condemned by many countries such as the US, UK, Australia, and Canada. As expected, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman has condemned the UK for interfering with their affairs, saying that all Hong Kong citizens, including those holding B&O passports, are Chinese citizens. He also repeated that Hong Kong affairs are entirely China's internal affairs, and no other countries have the right to interfere. So this is a very common response from China, whether it's all the responses from the UK, US, or Western countries on the issue.
Yeah, and in a moment we will be talking to Emily Lau, who is a strong advocate of democracy in Hong Kong. She has been a journalist, a politician, and now she is crying for international help to face what she believes is the biggest challenge to the Hong Kong people now, following the passing of the national security law.
Definitely. But back to the COVID-19 and the lockdown so far, the pandemic has not only affected people and the businesses, but it also had a huge effect on the people's mental health. Let's take a look at this report by Kun Thanadet Tamparipan.
During the coronavirus outbreak, when people are aware of physical condition, however, it also directly affects our mental health. Good mental health is an asset and is also linked to good physical health. A study has shown that mental health symptoms throughout lockdown, finding levels of anxiety and depression as lockdown measures began to lift.
ปัจจุบันเนี่ยองค์การอนามัยโลกเนี่ยก็ให้ความสำคัญในเรื่องของการดูแลสุขภาพจิตควบคู่ไปกับการดูแลสุขภาพกายเราจะเห็นเลยว่าในทุกประเทศทั่วโลกเนี่ยปัญหาที่ตีคู่มากับเรื่องของปัญหาโควิดก็คือปัญหาสุขภาพจิตเราจะเจอหลายคนเนี่ยมีปัญหาความเครียดมากขึ้น
Dr. Apishat Jariyavirat, psychiatrist and spokesperson of Department of Mental Health, Ministry of Public Health, has pointed out that the coronavirus pandemic seems to be the hardest time in our generation, when many people have lost their jobs, isolated from people, and stay at home. These are not what we used to. However, every cloud has a silver lining. We can take this opportunity to spend time with ourselves, such as work out, reading books, or watching films. Moreover, he has also mentioned that this time can be the best opportunity to plan our future for the better life. At the same time, Thai PBS World also has talked to some of people who has had mental health disorder about their feeling during this time of crisis. Most of them have said nearly the same things, that it doesn't affect their life as much as other people think. Sometimes they are worried when they see the number of infection cases on the news. But when they feel that it's too much for their mental illness, they just watch something else. Dr. Abhishek also suggests that consuming too much information from online platforms can be dangerous for mental health. Only checking once or twice a day is enough. And now, at the Department of Mental Health, we still have not seen the increased number of people. But after the lockdown is eased, it will show the real effects on people in general.
การดูแลจิตใจตนเองตั้งแต่วันนี้แล้วก็ดูแลจิตใจคนรอบข้างสิ่งที่เราอยากจะให้ทำตอนนี้คือเริ่มสำรวจตัวเองก่อนนะครับว่าความเครียดความกังวลหรือความรู้สึกแย่เนี่ยมันมากแค่ไหน
And that's a special report by Kun Thanade Tanburipan on the mental health during the lockdown. As we may have heard before that yoga can really help you relax and keep calm. This exercise has also been used with the police in Bangladesh to reduce stress during the pandemic. So let's take a look.
The long arm of the law is being stretched. Police in Dhaka practice yoga as part of their morning routine. The bending, stretching, and deep breathing exercises are aimed at keeping them fit and healthy amid the coronavirus pandemic. While yoga has no special powers to stop people contracting COVID-19, general good health helps those who contract the disease to cope with it better. And with so much anxieties around the virus, Rajan Kumar Saha, Assistant Commissioner at the Diplomatic Security Division, says these exercises help psychologically. He says COVID-19 created mental unrest among the force. The aim of performing yoga is to remove that. It is an exercise for the mind. This initiative have been taken to ease mental pressures. Of Bangladesh's almost 150,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 10,000 have been among the police force. More than 30 police officers have died from the disease. But Muhammad Rabiul Islam, Assistant Commissioner of Dhaka Metropolitan Police, is among the majority to have survived. He says coronavirus has spread vastly among the police, which is not the case for any other essential service. The reason is that the procedures and methods of their job revolve and being in their service. As cases surge across the country after the lockdown has eased, more police are displaying symptoms and getting tested. Shaiful Islam Shantu, administrator at the police hospital, says the biggest challenge for the hospital has been provide mental support to those who test positive for the disease.
We have to look for that psychological force of every person. We had to go to the patient and we told them that this is not a big disease. In fact, we tried our level best to help them mentally. We tried our level best to help them that he has to think that he is not alone. All of us are with him.
A majority of policemen have recovered and have reported for duty. They receive a rose and a small farewell ceremony from health workers and doctors as they leave the police hospital to go back home.
And that's the story of Bangladesh police.
All right, and now back to Hong Kong, where the new security law has been enforced and has certainly drawn a lot of strong reactions from the people on the island. Yeah. And now we have Emily Lau, the former chairwoman of the
And
Democratic
doctors
Party
as the
and a strong
lead
advocate of
hospital
democracy in Hong
to go
Kong.
back home.
Emily, good evening. Welcome to our
And
program.
that's the story of Bangladesh police.
Yes, can you hear us? Hong Kong.
Yes, I
where
can. Very
the-
well. Thank
All
you.
right, Emily, I know it has been
security
sad
law
days for
has
Hong
been
Kong, right?
enforced and-
We know there have been strong reactions from the people in Hong Kong. But tell us
Now we
what
have,
it's like
Emily
in Hong
Lau,
Kong
the
at the
former
moment.
chairwoman of the
Democratic Party
I think,
and a strong advocate of democracy in Hong Kong. Emily, good evening. Welcome to our program.
The
They
story
feel
of
that they
Bangladesh
are
police.
losing their freedoms.
I
Yes, can you
think
hear us?
there's some sort of delay in the signal at the moment.
We're trying to fix it.
Yep.
All right. Emily has been an outspoken advocate for democracy in Hong Kong for many years. She was a journalist, a politician, and of course, with this kind of situation in Hong Kong right now, she certainly cannot keep quiet.
Definitely. And
All
can
right.
you hear us
welcome,
now?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. Tell us what it's like in Hong Kong at the moment, Emily.
It is quite tense because some people fear that they will lose their freedom of expression, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, academic freedom, religious freedom, all the things to do with, expression. And also some fear that they could be arrested. And as you know, in the last few days, several hundred of people have been arrested, and some have already been charged with this new law. So there is a lot of uncertainty, and people just don't know when they will step into the trap. Because in the last year, I think you have seen some of the protests in Hong Kong, and they chant the slogan of liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time. And now the government has come out to say that that slogan is banned because it is like secession, thinking that Hong Kong will secede from China. So there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of concern. And some people want to leave. And I think it is good that the UK Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has said that because Beijing has broken the promise of the Sino-British Joint Declaration, so they are going to open the doors of Britain to holders of British national overseas passports. And so if people are very worried, and if they hold that passport, and the British estimate about 3 million Hong Kong people have that passport, they are free to go and live or work or study in Britain. And the Australian government has also made a similar suggestion, and we hope that this Prime Minister Scott Morrison there, and I hope the Canadian government, the New Zealand government, and the Americans will also make this gesture. These are all English-speaking countries, and many Hong Kong people have emigrated there. But we want the rest of the world, people who are willing to support Hong Kong and to help those who are very frightened, then, I think it would be good, because we don't want people to be trapped here. If they are too frightened, they should have a way out.
I see.
But the offer does not include those who were born after 1997, which was the end of the British rule. How can this be solved in your opinion?
Well, of course, there are some people who are not included, but the British government has said that those people who have no BNO passports, but if they are married to someone who has that passport, or even if they are a partner of the BNO passport holder, or if they are minor children, that means under 18, they are also qualified. So that would include more. But you're right. Ultimately, some people will not be eligible. So that's why it would be good if the Five Eyes countries, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and America, will take some of the people, so they don't need to be BNOs. And other places. Today I heard the Japanese government has also said that they are willing to give them work visas so that they can stay and earn their residence. So I think that it is very good sign of support from the international community for Hong Kong. But of course, what we want is for China, the Chinese government, not to be too harsh on Hong Kong so that we will lose our freedoms and personal safety. It's because of that the people want to flee. If they are safe, if they are free, of course they don't want to go anywhere.
But the Chinese government sees this gesture by the UK and Australia as an interference in China's internal affairs.
Yes, and they say it is not Britain's business. But of course it is Britain's business. Britain has run Hong Kong for 1.5 centuries. And then in 1997, we were handed over to Chinese rule. You know, in 1984, I was a journalist. I was at a press conference of Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, then the Prime Minister. She had just signed the joint declaration with China. And I said, Prime Minister, 2 days ago you signed an agreement with China promising to deliver over 5 million people into the hands of a communist dictatorship. Is that morally defensible? Or is it true that in international politics, the highest form of morality is one's own national interest? And she said, everybody's happy. Everybody's happy with the agreement. And I may be a solitary exception. Now, of course, Mrs. Thatcher is no longer around, but I'm still here. And everybody say, hey, Emily Lau was right 36 years ago. And I think the British government and many of the people understand this, that they have a moral responsibility for the people. And in fact, it's just an offer. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it. Nobody's forcing you to take it. They're just saying that some people are so frightened, so Britain will say, oh, we open the door for you. If you are so frightened in Hong Kong.
So you had the foresight to know what was going to happen to Hong Kong with that question, right? So, but Emily, for you yourself, how have you been affected by this law? Do you have to be more careful from now on in expressing your views?
I don't know. I'm still talking to you. Every time I talk to some foreign journalists in the past 2 days, they always think that would be the last time I'm talking because it is not just coming out of nowhere, because they see the fate of dissidents in mainland China, and they fear that would happen to Hong Kong people. So if that's the case, they fear that people like me or others could be arrested and charged and sent to prison very soon. I certainly hope it won't happen. I'm just speaking. I'm speaking for my people, although I've stepped down from the Legislative Council, but I still want to speak for the Hong Kong people, not all of them. Of course, there are those who disagree with me. Hong Kong is a city which is completely split asunder. I have to inform you and your viewers that there are people who oppose my views, which is fine. If you live in a free society, people are free to disagree. But somehow, when people look at the fate of dissidents in mainland China, they fear that the same will happen to the people of Hong Kong. And that's why some said I should not be talking to anyone. If I shut up, if I conduct self-censorship, maybe I can live in peace, maybe not. But if I keep speaking out, now I'm talking to Bangkok, to Thailand, and then later I talk to the Liberal International. But why should I shut up?
So Emily, you're still fighting from Hong Kong, but other democracy activists have chosen a different path. For example, Nathan Law today said he has left Hong Kong and will have his own way of fighting against the dictatorship, the Chinese dictatorship. So how do you see this law having an effect on some of the activists?
That's true. And different people will have different responses. I think we have to respect that. We have to accept that. And so I think many Hong Kong people, in our own ways, we are doing what we can to ensure that the city is free, is safe. But of course, people think that we are fighting a very difficult, may not be a losing battle, but it is very difficult. And of course, the might not just the might of the Hong Kong police, but the might of the whole Chinese national security. It's bearing down on Hong Kong. And we are just several million people. So peace-loving. I'm sure you've been to Hong Kong. You know how peace-loving, how free, how vibrant we were in the past. And now it seems that we're going to be reduced to a police state. And that is very tragic.
So does it mean that we will not be seeing a repeat of the demonstrations that Hong Kong has seen in the past, right?
I don't know. I mean, we were supposed to have a demonstration on July 1st, and every year since 1997, we were allowed, we got permission to have huge demonstrations, sometimes up to 1 million people. But this year, on July 1st, we were not given the permission. Why? They say it's COVID-19. But if you come to the streets of Hong Kong, everywhere there are people. So it seems that the administration of Carrie Lam is using the virus as an excuse to ban public gathering. And today, she made another decision that this ban to a maximum of only 50 people will continue for 2 more weeks. I think I am right to say that once this ban is lifted, the whole world will again see hundreds of thousands of people marching, gathering peacefully, in a peaceful and non-violent way. But we need to have the ban lifted, because if it's not, it's illegal assembly. And many Hong Kong people will not want to take part.
So, from your perspective, from 1997, when it's the end of the British rule, up until now, how has the democracy deteriorated over the years?
Well, up to now, we have no democracy. You know, Carrie Lam, whom you just saw, she's not elected by us. The Legislative Council, which is Hong Kong's parliament, only half, we have 70 members there, but only half are elected by one person, one vote. So Hong Kong is not a democracy. But ironically, for many years, the level of freedoms, personal safety, rule of law, independence of the judiciary that we, the Hong Kong people, enjoy is much higher than some countries which call themselves democracy, which have periodic elections. So that's the irony. Of course, we have been fighting, struggling for real democracy, and we haven't got it, and we will continue to fight. But under British rule and under Chinese rule, for many years, we enjoy freedoms. We enjoy human rights and personal safety. No knock on the door at midnight, you know, no police surveillance and all that. But now it seems it's all disappearing before our very eyes.
Emily, besides talking to the media as you are doing tonight, is there any other course of action that you can take to let the world know what is actually going on in Hong Kong?
Well, I think speaking to the media is a very powerful medium. And also because of the lockdown, we cannot go anywhere anyway. And also because there is an offense under the national security law about collusion with foreign forces. I don't know whether they will describe me talking to you now as collusion. So, I mean, there are all these risks. But for the time being, we cannot go anywhere. So, I mean, when I get an invitation from you, I immediately say, yes, I'll talk to you. And then in an hour's time, I will talk to the Liberal International. They have another online panel discussion. So we do what we can. Not that I'm doing it sort of deliberately to break the law, but I think that under the law or not, these are basic freedoms that I should enjoy. And I have been doing it for many years. So as some people say, why change a habit of a lifetime? But maybe if I continue, then I won't be able to speak to you again or whatever. I don't know. That is the thing that is hanging over people's head, the uncertainty. When is it that you have overstepped the mark and that the police will come and arrest you? or even worse. It's not the police, it's the Chinese national security who are not subject to Hong Kong law. They can come and arrest Hong Kong people and then take them to mainland China to deal with them there. And then all the protection, the so-called protection we get under the Hong Kong legal system will all disappear.
How much of the sentiment of the people against the law is reflected in the mainstream media in Hong Kong?
I think that, some of the mainstream media are very careful. And maybe after the law is enacted, they're even more careful. But there is online media. So it's reflected. And also there are opinion surveys, which also show that many people are against the law. But of course, we should not underestimate the chilling effect of this law, which is very, very sweeping and draconian. And then, as I said, you just don't know. Just by speaking, saying something, they will say you have broken the law already or not. So it's very difficult. And so it is completely a new scenario, a scenario that we've never seen before. And many people are very disturbed, are very frightened.
So how has the media affected the way people perceive Carrie Lam?
Well, I don't think it's fair to say it's the media. Well, of course, if you include the social media, but I think it is true to tell you that she is very unpopular. And the opinion surveys also show she is very unpopular. So she almost never appears in public. Because I think if she does, people will heckle her and all sorts of things, and then she will feel very bad. So the only time she appears in public is at a press conference. So she'll answer questions from the reporter, or if she wants to say something, she will record it and then put it on her Facebook.
Emily, have you seen the full text, or at least a part of the full text of the law yet?
Sorry, what protest?
Have you seen the full text, or at least parts of the full text of the law yet?
The protest?
No,
the full text
the full
of
text.
the full text of law.
Yes. And the thing is, we only saw the text of the law at 11 p.m. on the 30th of June. And then when we saw it, it was enforced already. So there was no chance for us to see a draft and to debate and to comment on it and express our views. There was no chance whatsoever. And it was reviewed at 11 p.m. on the 30th of June. And then they say it's gazetted and it has come into force.
So for you personally, would you take up the offer to relocate to other countries like the UK or Australia, or would you rather stay in Hong Kong to fight for the freedom?
Well, I don't even have BNO passport. I only have a Hong Kong passport, and I have no plans to go anywhere. And I have been a politician from 91 to 2016. I served 7 terms in the Hong Kong Legislative Council, which is our parliament. I have never lost an election. I stepped down in 2016, but I'm still active, even though I'm not a legislator. And the media, foreign media and others kept interviewing me, and I always have to remind them that I'm not a member of parliament, I'm not a leader of my party, and they say, we know. So if they want to talk to me just like you, I'm happy to talk to you. And I have no plans to go anywhere. And I just hope that the Hong Kong government, the Chinese government, will not be so harsh on Hong Kong and will allow the people of Hong Kong, including myself, to continue to enjoy the freedoms that we've enjoyed for a long time and to have personal safety, which is very important. I don't know whether you understand it or not. But now I think some people in Hong Kong feel they are not safe. And this is a very terrifying thing, to be not safe, to be followed, and to think that maybe one day you may be attacked in the streets or you may be arrested. So I hope that we don't have that, And then, but I'm not saying that I support independence. No, I've never supported independence. And I think many Hong Kong people do not. But they just want the Chinese government to keep the promise of the Sino-British Joint Declaration. And that is to let us have one country, two systems, a separate system from the rest of China, and where we can be free, we can have personal safety, the rule of law, and not forever. It's only for 50 years, from 1997 to 2047. But now it's only 2020, not even halfway there. And people are so disturbed and worried already. So it is very sad.
So how long do you expect these protests to last? Because things are not going to settle for any time soon.
Sorry, how long do I expect what?
How long do you expect these protests in Hong Kong will last?
How do I know? I think they will go on because, as I said, if the government lift the ban and allow us to protest legally, I think many people will turn out. But then maybe many will be arrested. But I think some Hong Kong people, particularly the young people, they're not afraid. And people of all ages, they're not afraid. Look at them. They will turn out. And so why don't you give us the permission so that we can march peacefully and lawfully? And how long? I think it will go on for quite long. But of course, it will be very sad if there are more illegal demonstrations. Then they will arrest more people.
So you were talking about this chilling effect that the law has on Hong Kong, right? Does it mean that people now would have second thought before deciding to say something critical of China or deciding to join any demonstrations on the streets?
Yes, I think so. Self-censorship.
Okay. All right. Okay, but for you, I mean, doesn't really make any difference, right? You still continue to as outspoken as you have been.
I am a person who is very outspoken, very frank, very honest. As I said to you earlier, why change a habit of a lifetime? Maybe that will be the end of me.
And so that means you are not discounting the possibility of you being the first prominent political activist to be arrested under the law, right?
No, actually, that's not true. Many political activists have been arrested, even before this security law came into force. There are many prominent political leaders, activists, including people from my party, have been arrested. And there are also others who have served sentence. So it's not the first, not at all.
I mean under the new law.
Or maybe, well, some already have been. I don't know how that would, I don't want to forecast how that will happen.
All right. Okay. Have you heard from Joshua Wong? Is it okay?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Emily, and I wish you all the best and
thank you.
Success in your fight for democracy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that
Thank
was
you.
thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. So that was Emily Lau, a very prominent and outspoken democracy activist, and I have talked to her on many occasions before, and she hasn't really changed. I mean, her determination to really, fight for democracy in Hong Kong has always been there.
And I like how she said that she will still stay in Hong Kong to fight for the rights for everyone in Hong Kong as well.
All right, so that's it for tonight. And we will come back again next week and to keep you updated with the major events in Thailand. But tonight, of course, the past few nights we have been talking a lot about what's going on in Hong Kong, because certainly, it's something very, very captivating that we need to keep based.
And we gotta say that all eyes are on Hong Kong now because the protests are back with the new security law. So we'll have to see what happens next with the protests and the movements from the internationals as well, to the Western as well as other countries.
Okay, so that's ThaiPBS World for now, and in a few minutes time we will come back with our Thai language service, the Tan Lok, with ThaiPBS World. All right. So Thank you for watching tonight.
When the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers, Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.